And welcome to another episode of Your Next Favorite Movie. I am your host, Josh G. And today, my guest, she is a teacher, an instructional coach, a professional development leader, and an overall champion for public education. And she has just released a new book called Untold Teaching Truths. Please welcome Katie Kinder to the show.
Hi, Josh. I'm here for it. Napoleon Dynamite, Breakfast Club. We were just talking about all of your posters. And we were just talking about too, like 5 days that we have to go to work and then 2 days off is not work-life balance. And so your wife is going to put in some legislation for us. She's going to start a petition, right?
There we go. And truth be told, those are her posters. Breakfast Club is her favorite. And
okay. Love it.
And I'm not actually a big fan of Napoleon Dynamite myself, so.
Oh my gosh, Josh, do not out yourself that way. I'm just kidding.
I have no problem. All right, so why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about Untold Teaching Truths?
Okay, it's right here. For those of you who have video, there it is. It's blue and it's pretty. So right before the world shut down with COVID, in March of 2020, I was kind of going to speak. I was doing some professional development. I was going to some conferences, and my participants would come and stand in line and talk to me, and they would say, "We'd love to buy your book." And I said, I don't have one. And then when March of 2020 and the world shut down, March 13th, a lot of people cleaned their house and a lot of people cooked and went on hikes, and I wrote. So I've had chapters for years because it's my big passion to keep baby teachers. That's what I call them. Our baby teachers who are thrown into this sphere with maybe they have good pedagogy training from college, or maybe they're alternative certified or emergency certified, and they just don't know really what they're getting themselves into. Even though it's the best, most noblest of professions, it's really hard. And so it's really everything that I wish I would have known when I started. Every mistake I made, every story, things that are going to happen, it's part, guide to help, part memoir, part how do we make this work in this broken sphere. So almost 50% of our new teachers quit in the first 5 years because it's just too much. So that is my goal, is just to travel around, speak. I've got some speaking engagements coming up in the spring, sell the book, and love on these baby teachers who need it.
So how long have you been in teaching?
I started in 2006. Why are you aging me, Josh? Josh G. I teach 2 classes in the morning at my school, and then I teach the teachers in the afternoon. And I really think it's important that I stay connected with kids, because I can't look at a teacher and say, you should do A, B, and C if I'm not doing A, B, and C too. And so I think that's how the model should be set up. But because the kids are just changing rapidly. Our kids of 2019 are not our kids from 2021 because of everything they've been through. And their vernacular changes very rapidly, and everything about them changes. And we have to pivot when it comes to teaching, especially middle school kids, which is my jam. I love middle school kids. Yeah,
I have a child in middle school, so
and I have, my son is in middle school, and my daughter is in 9th grade, and it's kind of the first time I've taught middle school kids and then come home to middle school kids. I'm like, oh my gosh, the hormones, I can't get away from it. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So where are these speaking engagements going to be at? So if people want to look it up.
Goodness, come over, come see me, come to my school. Well, I'm doing a big PD on January 3rd just for my teachers. And then I'm going to Hot Springs in February. And that's the Arkansas Middle Level Educators Conference. I'm going to, I believe, the Oklahoma one in Edmond in February. Middle school teachers, just talk to them. And goodness, I think I'm going to Stillwater in March. I'm going to Plano, Texas in March. I've got some other things set up in June. So yeah, I don't know. If you keep a website, I can send you my dates and if somebody wants to come see me, I would love to have them.
All right. I do not have a website set up, but
Josh, it's
I know.
time. Okay.
I realize. And before we keep going, I just want to give a big shout out to Derek Duvall. He's the one that set me up with you. He
Hi,
was
Derek.
a past guest on this show. In fact, he was way back last February, my first guest when you came on to talk about
Nice.
Jaws. So,
Hey, Derek, we see you.
all right. So I guess we're going to transition to this week's movie.
I'm ready.
With classic, Remember the Titans.
Yes. Okay. I'm still kind of upset with you, Josh G, because you made me narrow it down. I sent Josh like a list of so many movies and I want to talk about all of them. And he was like, listen, you need to narrow it down to one. And I was like, Josh, but now I'm excited because Remember the Titans. Oh my gosh, that's maybe the greatest sports film ever filmed. Somebody can fight me on that.
All right. So when did you first see this?
I think I saw it in the theaters. I'm pretty sure. Because when was it released? Tell me that. Do you have the year right there?
I think it's 2000. It was either 99 or 2000. I just can't remember.
Okay. So yeah, I think I saw it in the theater and just like bawled my eyes out. I love a true story that comes to film. You know, like I think I said I loved Ray and Walk the Line. And but this one is near and dear to my heart because we in my school district, in my school, we're only allowed to show one film a semester. Has to be wrapped around curriculum, and it has to be like you have to be doing something with it. So I have always, for the first semester, chosen Remember the Titans because we're doing like some civil rights, and I want them to see it and see what it looks like and see what it looked like to people's lives. I mean, you can research it and read about it, but when you see it in action, I think that's powerful.
All right. So for everyone who may not have seen it, tell everybody what Remember the Titans is about.
Well, it's a football team, 1971. It's right when, sorry, excuse me. It's right when we started integrating schools. But I really want to lead my students in the direction of what they did is about to update. Sorry, are you still there?
There you go. You're good.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Did it just black out your screen too?
It blacked out,
Okay.
but I could hear you, so it does.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Anyways, so they start integrating schools. You know, it's right after Ruby Bridges goes to school for the first time with armed guards. And what really happens too is that they close all of the Black schools. They close them. They fire the teachers and the principals, and they bus our Black students to white schools. Like that's a pretty big injustice that maybe we don't talk about. We just say, woo, Brown versus Board of Education in 1964 fixed everything. Woo. Well, it didn't. And so we kind of do some research around it. But then you get to see, and then you kind of fall in love with these characters like Gary Bertier, you know, Coach Herman Boone. And I've watched it so many times with so many different classes that I can pretty much quote the whole thing. But I know when kids are going to be like, and our kids today are so screen addicted to their phones that they almost can't even like watch a movie without fidgeting and wanting to do something else while it's on in the background. I think some adults are guilty of that too. And, you know, so I know that this movie, they are riveted from the time it turns on to the time it ends. And I love it.
All right. I think you express why you love it. And like you said, you use it to teach class. So you watch this every year then.
Every year.
Every year you're watching this at least once.
Yes.
All right. So we're going to go into, this movie does not set itself up for us. It's a weird question, but I ask it with all my movies. So what would you have liked to see if this movie had gotten a sequel back then, not 20 years later now?
Oh my gosh. Josh, this question. It doesn't need a sequel. Nope. But what I would like to see is maybe the grandchildren of Julius, or of, you know, it's got the two little girls, you know, Coach Boone's daughter. Coach Yost's daughter, and Coach Boone's daughter is super girly. Coach Yost's daughter is Cheryl. She's very like tomboy and loves the game, and so it really does bring in lots of aspects of who we are. And it's okay to be super girly. It's okay to be a tomboy. It's okay to love football. It's okay to want to paint your nails and play Barbies, like all of that. And maybe you like it all. So maybe the grandchildren of those two characters, what happened? How did it play out from there? What does it look like in 2021? That's what I would like to see in a sequel per se. Just like, are we better now in 2021 or are we not?
That's a scary thing to think about, actually. So now we're going into territory that could actually happen. I don't know if they'll do it with this movie, but they do it with a ton of them. So, and that's the remake. And you can't just put Denzel back in, even though he could still play this role.
I love Denzel. I mean, what a beautiful specimen he is. You have to agree, Josh. You have to just see that Denzel is a beautiful specimen of a man.
And I think next to Tom Hanks is my wife's favorite actor. So if it's Tom Hanks or Denzel, she'll watch anything with both of them.
Tom Hanks, he's a good one too. Good Lord, what a good actor.
But let's say you had to choose different people to remake this with. Who would you go with?
Well, I'm just going to be like combative and say no. But we're not going to remake it. It's beautiful the way it is. But if we had to, I'm thinking Taye Diggs as Coach Herman Boone. Hey, boo. We like him too. And that's all I thought about. Taye Diggs. Everybody else, it doesn't matter. I want to know if Denzel and Taye are friends. Ooh, we should research that. We should put that out into the world. We're going to ask if they're besties. And if they're besties, then Taye Diggs will be allowed to play Herman Boone.
Oh, okay. I have no idea the answer to that.
I'm going to be like, unlike any guest you've ever had, Josh.
Hey, that's all right with me. All right. So what I want you to do, you've done a pretty good job, but for anybody that may not be sold, sell this movie one final time. Why people should watch it if they hadn't.
Well, I mean, it's just part of our history. I think we can't look away from it. We can't whitewash history. We have to look at it. And then like when you see the change in Gary Bertier, he starts out as a character that is, he thinks he's on the right side of history, fighting against this. And then as he becomes best friends with Julius, as he starts to respect, Coach Boone, he's really the dynamic character I like to look at, but I also really like to look at Julius's character as well. And he kind of does the same thing. I mean, he says things like, I'm going to get mine because nobody else on this team cares. And attitude reflect leadership, captain. And then you see him change too. And so really the two of them with Coach Boone at the helm, you get to really see these characters change. And you've got people like the best friend of Gary at the beginning of the movie who doesn't change, Ray, and he gets kicked off the team for his racism. And so he's a very static character, but most of them are dynamic and they learn to just love each other and fight together. And the fact that they undefeated season by the end, it's really inspiring. I love the character of Sunshine, of Ronnie Bass. He comes in and we don't know if he's gay or not. And because the boys were making fun of him when he comes in the middle of the movie and he's from California and they're all, razzing him. And of course he tries to kiss Gary and my students are like, what just happened? And I really like that part too, because I'm like, it's not about that. It was about power. It was about, it doesn't matter if I'm gay or not. Like it shouldn't matter. And he says that. Ronnie Bass says that in the movie. And so I just think it's amazing. So everybody should see it. I just told you the whole movie. So now you should, go see it and get back with me and tell me if you love it as much as my students and I do.
Yeah, and funny story, as See, I am a Clemson fan, and
Okay.
our
We'll forgive you for that. Just
No,
kidding.
what?
I'm an OU. I'm in Oklahoma. Okay. So no, I like Clemson. Go ahead. Your quarterback.
Our quarterback last year, he's now in the NFL. Trevor Lawrence. That's what everybody called him, was Sunshine from this movie because he had the long blonde hair.
Nice.
And that Ronnie Bass, he actually ended up living where I'm at in Greenville, South Carolina for quite a long time. In fact, it says that at the end of the movie that he was currently living in Greenville. And
I love that.
That's where I'm at. I'm like 20 miles from where Clemson plays. So
nice. That's fun.
all right, that's pretty much it. These are short, sweet, to the point. Why don't you tell everybody?
Wait, one more, Josh.
Okay. What you got?
I'm just going to flip the script on you. Aren't you going to ask me my favorite line from the whole movie?
Oh, you want to do favorite quotes? Okay. Sometimes I bring that up. Sometimes I don't.
Okay, Josh.
Go ahead.
This is imperative. Quote. My favorite quote, and then I say it for the rest of the year, is when, Gary walks up and there's the bus, scene where they're about to go off to camp. And he says to Herman Boone, Denzel is just like cool as a cucumber. And he says, listen, we already have a team. Your players are going to do this. My players are going to do this. And then Denzel gets real quiet. And he says, that's your mama over there. And he said, hello, ma'am. He said, Gary, you've got your brothers on the team and you've got your daddy. Who's your daddy, Gary? It's the best line. And I quote it the rest of the year with my students. And they love that part too. And I'm pretty sure I rewind it and watch it about 10 times. Because of course, coach, and because Gary puts his head down and he's like, you are. And it's the first time we see Gary start to change. So you got your brothers on the team, Josh, and you got your daddy. So that's it.
That's it. So tell everybody where they can find you online, where they can find the book, all that good stuff.
Okay, you can find Untold Teaching Truths on Amazon. I have a blog that I keep that gives lessons for free because I don't want teachers to pay teachers. I want them to have it all for free. It's called the Engaged English Classroom. You can find me on Twitter at KatieKinder1. I'm very active on Twitter. And then on Instagram at Untold Teaching Truths. Also, you can find my email address. So if there's any teachers out here they're a big fan of Josh, or principals or superintendents, please reach out. I would love to help you and your school.
All right, sounds good. And as always, you can find the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at ynfmoviepod. Available wherever you get your podcasts. Some episodes are available on YouTube, so check that out. This one will be. And I'll be back with either another guest or returning guest Chad and Chris for a deep dive. I don't know yet. We're recording early, so figure that out. Till then, talk to you next time.
Bye, everyone.